Christi Zimmerman with the No Prep Felons, and I'm here today with James Mosier and his ridiculous Chevelle that he calls the Black Pearl. James, thank you so much for having us out today.
Absolutely. Glad you guys could come out.
So you and the Black Pearl seem to just come out of nowhere at the end of last year. And there's been a lot of excitement, a lot of interest in your car. But at the same time, there seems to be a lot of intrigue and questions. So I know that you're new to New Prep, but you're not new to racing. So can you tell us, who is James Mosier and where did you come from?
So I started racing when I was about 3 years old, racing go-karts. I was racing driving a cage kart and crashed it on a road track that was up actually off of Paseo. It used to be called Los Angeles Boulevard. It was where they raced go-karts and stuff. Anyway, so I wrecked it in the midst of crashing, and I cut off these 3 fingers. And actually, they sewed them back on. I was 4.
4?
I was
Dang.
4. And I don't even really remember it, to be honest with you. I remember pieces of it. That's the shock. So I went from there, got into skateboarding, raced dirt bikes, back into driving cars, had street cars, had a pretty famous, in New Mexico and Arizona, convertible Mustang. This old 347, small tire car that we built, that me and a friend of mine, Suey, built. And we street raced a lot, and we won a lot of money with that car. That car is fast. Matter of fact, I still have the car. It's
Do you?
There's a whole funny story that's probably for another time.
All right. You're going to have to show me one day.
I will. I'll show you the car, yeah.
Okay.
The whole story of how I ended up with it and stuff is really a funny story. But I still have it, and I swore to him I'd never get rid of it. So I went from there. I was racing mini sprints as well, and actually started traveling all over the country racing mini sprints.
Oh, wow.
We run a lot of races. a lot of races, won national races. We were always getting we were a lot faster than anybody back then, but we worked really hard. We had a dyno, we had we were building cams, we were doing experiment cams with web cams, we were doing a lot of things. We were making a lot of horsepower in those little, back then it was little 600 Honda motors.
Right.
Anyway, so we won a lot. So that progressed to sprint cars. Well, my old man said, there's no way, I don't want you driving sprint cars. I'm not going to be part of it. So I did some, hustling and rounded up some money and bought my own sprint car and decided I was going to go race with the World Outlaws. And so that's what I did. Moved to Indiana, built a race team, and traveled all over the country, early 2000s to mid to late 2000s, racing sprint cars. So we started building the Black Pearl. And so we wanted to do something that was build something and come race. How fast can you go? How much can you build? What can you do? Whether somebody shows up with cubic dollars or someone shows up with cubic knowledge. Let's show up and race.
Why a 66 Chevelle?
So my very first car that I ever built, I was 13 years old, was a 66 Chevelle. I always liked old hot rods and that was just my thing. And so I built this 66 Chevelle, and it was bright orange, beautiful car. I mean, that car was perfect. The one regret I ever made in my life was selling that car because I got Mustang fever. This was probably 89, 90, and Fox bodies. And I mean, it was like, look at that. That is in that time, in the early 90s, that was today's hot rod. I knew that was going to be the hot rod. As a matter of fact, I got another one sitting right over here too because I just can't seem to get rid of them. But I really got into them. So I started wanting to learn about Mustangs and how to make Mustangs fast. And it didn't take a lot to make Mustang fast. And my Chevelle wasn't fast. I mean, I thought it was fast, right? But I was 15 years old. So when we talked about getting back into race or about going drag racing, I was thinking, I'll build a Mustang. I'll build a real nasty street Mustang, and we'll go street race it. We'll do some of this stuff. And they kind of said, why don't you build a Chevelle? And it was like, it's a tugboat, And then I was like, man, I really miss my Chevelle. So I started looking for Chevelles, and lo and behold, I found one. And so we got it. And this actually was a race car when we got it. Really cool story about this car, if you want me to get into that.
Absolutely.
So this car I got, it didn't look like this. I mean, it was nothing like this. It was like a bracket car. It was an old super stock car.
Okay.
And so this car actually has never been registered on the street until I got it. The original owner bought it and turned it into a race car, and it was steel doors, steel fenders, roll up windows, the whole nine. It was a bracket car.
Yeah.
But this car has always been a race car. That is a really cool story about this.
That is a really cool
The guy bought it in Austin, Texas, and put it on a trailer, and they took it back to Odessa, Texas, and it was always a race car. And now I have it. So I got it, and we pulled the body off it, and we were like going to change some stuff on it, and then we got stupid with it. We got a little bit crazy with it.
Yeah.
You know, now it is what it is, a Black Pearl. So, but that's kind of why 66.
What's under the hood?
Okay.
If you're willing to disclose your secrets.
Nah, no secrets. I mean,
Okay.
I think when you got, I think we've gotten up to a level of really professional guys. I mean, we've gone and run now with a couple big name guys, and we can run with them. And they're not really hiding. I mean, there's some things that nobody talks about. You know, there's stuff like gear ratios and tranny ratios and tunes that we don't talk about. We all pretty much got the same stuff when it comes down to it. I mean, you're either running a big block Chevy, or 481X Ryan Martin, or you're running a BAE, right? And that's what we're running. We're running a Brad Anderson motor. It's a Pro Mod motor. It's a screw blown with a PSID rotor. We're running Linco transmission, and so, that's all pretty common.
Sure.
I mean, it's basically what these cars have morphed into are steel body pro mods. I mean, I call it a street mod.
Race really well respected guys like Mike Merlo and Kelly Blubaugh and Birdman.
Right.
What was that like?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So I know Mike Merlo. He kind of sort of remembers me from back in the day. Back in the Mustang, we ran World 4 Challenge a couple times, and he was I actually looked up to Merlo because I really liked his notchback he had back then because it was radical. It had this giant Texas flag painted on it that kind of went up over it. And he was the first one really that, in my opinion, that really put out that, loud, let's fuck everybody. I don't care what they think, and I like that. I'm like, man, he's a cool dude. And you had the Bob and Billy combo Gliddens running back then in that deal and the NMRA stuff. And man, but Mike, man, he dominated that. He was fast. So I ran into I went into Mike's pit in Dallas No Prep 2.
Okay.
The year he won it, and I was talking to him, and I was just and he's a super nice guy. Mike's a great guy.
Very nice guy.
And I told him, I said, hey, I'm building the car. I'm coming after you. He just kind of chuckled a little bit about it because I'm sure he probably hears that a lot, right? I get it.
Sure.
I've been there, and so I couldn't believe when here we are, and I'm thinking I'm gonna call him out. We're at because we're at the Odessa deal, and they're like, are there any call outs? And I was just about to call him out, and my brother Mike, who does the fuel and timing tuning. He says, nah, don't do it, don't call him out, and I'm like, man, I want to call him out, and he's like, nah, don't do it, just there you go, boom, we draw him. I'm like, told you.
First round,
told you.
And that was a hell of a race.
That was a good race.
It was a good race.
That was a good race. Down at the end, we talked about it a little bit. He was like, son of a bitch, and I'm like, you remember me? He goes, yeah, I remember you. And I said, I don't believe you, and he goes, no, that's a really good looking car. Great dude. I can't wait. Now I need some redemption on his ass, so I sure hope he shows up at
Redemption?
No, he won't be at Redemption because they're up at the other deal.
Oh, that's right.
But I hope he shows up at Armageddon because I'd like to run him again. But it was cool, man. So really, in my opinion, three fast guys from the No Prep Kings, which we were wanting to go play with those guys and go have some fun with them.
Yeah.
It really proved that we could run with them, that we can, we got what it takes to be competitive with them. We got what it takes to travel with them and be part of that deal. That was really a huge confidence. I don't care who I'm lining up next to. I mean, I don't get that. I'm not like, maybe if it was John Force or something. Once I do that burnout, I'm not even thinking about that guy. I'm thinking
Tunnel vision.
I channel my inner Stevie Fast, and I'm gonna chop the tree down on this motherfucker. We're going, and I did. That was a tree. You watch that slow motion. I do not know how that wasn't a red light. I wish we would have got a time on that one, huh?
Yeah.
He knows. We watched the video, and it's like, boom, that tire's cracked moving, and that fucking light is still yellow. And it was like, that was badass. That was a cut. What else you got?
So you keep talking about Holly and your crew, and I know that it takes a village, right? So behind every great racer is a great team, whether it's fans, friends, family, sponsors. So tell us a little bit more about who's on your team and who's helped you get to where you are.
Okay, so we'll start with sponsors. We don't have any.
None?
We're looking for some, but we don't have any.
Okay.
So you can get help from, there's a couple companies, Speed Sports in Arizona. for instance. They really helped us out, gave us some really good prices, on their parts. They really help a lot of racers out. Mark's a really, really good dude. So that kind of stuff helps. That's really about all the help we've gotten. Really everything in this thing, we've sacrificed couches and, living room furniture and crap like that because, well, we need to buy a set of slicks.
Sure.
$2,000 on a set of $4,000 on a set of wheels. No problem. But anyway, so the sponsors deal is pretty tough. I mean, it's tough to get help. There's sometimes there's people that'll come along and help, but it's pretty tough. But you're right. Standing behind you got to have good people standing behind you, and I got good people standing behind me. I got my girlfriend Holly. She, we might as well be married at this point. We live together. But she really supports what I'm doing. She's always there. She drives the pit car. Matter of fact, this weekend racing, she'll be the one firing the car off. Because my brother Mike, who we talked about a minute ago, that does fuel and timing settings, curves, and all that kind of stuff, he can't go this weekend. So Holly is stepping up to do that. So it's pretty good. And then I got Chris Braz. Chris is pretty new to the team. He came in this year and just bam, like a duck to water.
That's awesome.
I mean, jumped right in there, and I mean, just huge help. It's he's a pretty good dude. He's all right. We'll keep him around for a while. My brother Mike, he's not here, and then our kids. My 2 girls. I got a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old, and they
good luck with that.
Yeah, right. They they're good kids.
They really are.
They grew up at the racetrack, right? I mean, they were both basically born at the racetrack. It's like, all right, well, we got to go. We got to race tonight. Let's go. And so they pretty much they've always traveled with us. We've always traveled racing. They've always been there. They go to the track with us all the time. They're really involved in it. You'll see there's actually on my Facebook page, the Black Pearl at Facebook. There's a picture on there, and the girl standing in front of the car backing me up. That's my oldest daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she's the backup girl. She sometimes drives a pit car too. She's old enough now. She drives.
That's awesome.
And then Jaleh, my youngest, she's still pretty little. She comes up to the deal, but a lot of tracks won't let people under 14 or 15 years of age up on the staging lanes.
Right.
And up in the water box and all that stuff. So she's usually over and she's a good sandwich maker. She brings us water. She gets stuff done. It's pretty
Love
good.
It.
So everybody has a job. I mean, there's nobody that's not doing things on the job. And of course, you guys. I mean, hell, you're in Albuquerque. You're probably my biggest fan. So, or I'm your biggest fan. You're the famous one now.
Just stop. I do love the Pearl, I have to say. I will always, if I can make it out to see a race, I will always be there.
Yeah, I see your posts about Kamikaze. Come on. And if I get up,
I love the Elko, I'm not going to lie.
If I'm somewhere where and I've already told you this, if I'm somewhere and Kamikaze's there, that's who I'm calling out. Just because, there you go. It's like your ultimate fantasy coming true.
It's kind of a, double-edged sword watching your favorite cars race. But, I think everybody knows that I love the Elko the most, and that's probably never going to change.
Okay, so if I'm staged against Kamikaze, who you cheering for?
I'm not going to answer that question on film. Anyway,
we know who it is.
So what else do you have in the pipeline? Do you have anything else you're looking at that the fans can look forward to coming to see in the near future?
Well, everything's kind of, again, with all this crap going on, everything's kind of, we had a set schedule.
Sure.
And that's all kind of changed now. We would have went to the other deal that was going on right now, but I still got to work. I still have a job. We couldn't be gone that long. And if the COVID stuff wasn't going on, they wouldn't have to be doing the isolation deal and all the crap that they're doing.
Right.
And so we missed that, but we so we're kind of up in the air. If anything pops up in the Oklahoma, mid to West Texas, Arizona, if they ever get opened up and going, we'll be there. I mean, and I'll keep fans updated. If you want to know where we're at, we will definitely post way ahead of time when we find something as quick as we can on our Facebook page. Let everybody know. I'm also on Instagram. We try to post as much as we can there. You share a lot of our stuff, which I appreciate.
You're welcome.
And you have a lot of fans. So a lot of people, if you're following Christi, she's the one that you can get a lot of information from.
I try.
So I'll let you know as well. We'll get it up on the page.
Okay. Awesome.
And let people know.
I will
And we look
absolutely
forward.
share. Okay.
You know.
I might have to pull on your heartstrings a little bit and try to pull you into our next charity race in Oregon in August.
Man, that's going to be a tough one. Oregon's a long ways.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
It's for the kids, James.
Absolutely.
For
And you know
the
me.
kids.
I've always said
I know.
I will be
You're
the first one there. If it's kids or vets, I'm there.
I know.
Speaking of which, we're going to do a thing for the vets. We're going to start a deal with Chris. Chris has Outlaw Desert Racing, and he does a lot of stuff for the vets where they do, matter of fact, he can chime in if you want to, but they do a lot of
Suicide prevention, right?
Yeah, right.
With the vets.
And
awesome.
And so he brings guys in and they go desert race, and he's got a really badass off-road buggy. I don't know if I can mention the brand name or not. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Polaris. Can-Am. Polaris, Can-Am, sorry.
Side by side.
Side by side. So side by side. So he takes, and people need to get on Outlaw Desert Racing and check it out. They're on Facebook. So they do a lot of stuff with vets. It's really cool. And so we're going to bring some of that into what we're doing as well. Don't know the full-on logistics of it yet. We're still trying to put that together. And it'll probably be more of a next year thing where we don't have all this, hopefully, don't have all this crap going on. But we want to get some vets to come out, hang out with us, get the full tour. We'll take care of them. We'll put them up in a room. We'll get them out to be on the team, come help us out, get up on the starting line. We'll make their ass work a little bit.
Absolutely.
And
I love it. If I
think
can help
it's
you guys
awesome.
in any way, let me know.
Absolutely. Definitely stay tuned and keep an eye out for that. We're going to kind of do it on a contest basis, and we're going to do it at every race.
I love it.
So
That's
I think
awesome.
that'll be cool, and you know, people don't realize, especially in this day and age, what the vets actually, you know, what they stand for, what they did, the sacrifices they've made, so that people can go out and protest, so people can do the shit they're doing.
Absolutely.
Whether I agree with it or not, these vets fight for your right to do that.
Absolutely.
You know, and so we need to show them respect. I mean, I myself am not a vet, but I respect them.
Sure. I'm not a vet, but both my parents are.
Yeah, well,
So-
everyone in my family was pretty much too. So, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this. You wouldn't be able to do that if it
Nope.
wasn't for them. You know, so
Absolutely.
we got to remember that.
I love it. All right, so I've got one last question for you.
Yeah, here we go.
All right, so out of all the no prep worlds, if there's one guy or girl you want to line up next to the most, who would it be?
Man, that's kind of a loaded question. There's people I'd like to line up next to because I respect them, and there's people I'd like to line up next to because I want to beat them.
Okay.
And there's people I want to line up next to because I don't like them.
Okay.
So
Top three.
Top three. Man, that's tough. So I'd like to run Sean in Murder Nova.
Okay.
I like that car.
I'd like to see that race. I'm just
It'd be
saying.
a good race. I like that car. His new car.
I like both the cars.
Yeah. There's Alex Laughlin because I think he's a spoiled little rich shit, and I'd like to show him some taillights.
Okay.
Just say that.
Fair
out loud.
enough.
I'm
I think
calling
that
you
would
out.
also be.
I'm a nobody though, so don't worry about me. I'm just a nobody. And the third one's pretty tough, man. The third one's pretty tough. Honestly, it'll probably never, ever happen. Ever.
Okay.
Ever. Because we're in two totally different arenas. But there's only one guy, and he's the king, and will always be the king. John Force.
That would be pretty flippin' cool.
I've been called John Force because I do big monster burnouts down the track when the car goes straight.
You do.
But that's because of John Force. I've been
Yeah.
a John Force fan since I was a little kid. I mean, anyways.
I don't know many people in the racing world that aren't John Force fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. But I'm older than you, and so this goes back a long way. So,
That's true.
matter of fact, I still sitting up on that shelf over there. I still got a piston from him from probably 89, 90 that they pulled out of a car and he signed it and gave it to me right there. It used to be a lot different at the races than it is now. You get everything all blocked off and
Yeah.
all that shit. You used to actually be able to walk up to him. Another reason why I like no prep.
Right.
Walk right into our pit, man. Come on in.
Absolutely.
We want to talk to you.
It's awesome.
We
I
like
love
that
it.
shit. That's cool stuff.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's all I have for you today. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out here and have us out and talk to us and let the world know who you are. Thank you for everybody watching, for hanging out and listening to our shop talk. Don't forget, hit up Desert Outlaw Racing and like them on Facebook, as well as the Black Pearl, Black Pearl. Make sure you go and give them a like and a follow, and No Prep Felons as well. If you don't like No Prep Felons, you should. So thanks for everything, and we'll see you next time.
Well, and I appreciate being the first on Shop Talk with Christy.
There you go.
You heard it here first.